version of me, I feel like she was performing. It's the feeling of wanting to be needed. Like, people need me. They need to talk to me. They need to vent. And don't get me wrong, my entire motto in life is this one's for anyone who's been the ever reliable friend, the emotional rock, the one who always picks up the phone, the one people come to when they are falling apart, but somehow never stay long enough to check up on you, long enough to check if you're okay too. I feel like I've kind of been that friend for a lot of people in my life. And for a long time, I believed that made me strong, that made me very selfless. Someone people could count on, someone, people could come to, talk about anything with. And I really liked that about myself. But ever since I've turned 26, there have been a very few personal wake-up calls. That version of me, I feel like she was performing. I don't think it was for, oh my gosh, you're such a nice person, but it was more about, wow, she's that ever reliable friend. She's the person I can always go to, the approval from people, and to be seen as good, as kind, as indispensable. And I think eventually I started to realize what I was doing. Let's talk about what really happens when you become the reliable one. You keep showing up. You answer the 3 a.m. calls. You forgive the flakiness that they, kind of do when you need them. You hold space for people when they don't even notice that you're barely holding it all together. And I think the wildest part about all of this is that you think that makes you selfless. You think you are an amazing person for holding space for all of these people and never asking for anything in return. And I think that's mainly because we've been taught that helping people makes us incredibly noble, that we are very nice people. That's the right thing to do. And don't get me wrong, my entire motto in life is to help people, is to be there for them, is honestly to help people figure out what I couldn't figure out, to talk about things that I am learning. That's basically what I'm doing with this video too. But I always remembered this one episode from the show Friends. Phoebe and Joey would argue about if a selfless act is actually a selfless act, or if it's like you feel good about doing the selfless act, so you get to feel good about it. So is it really selfless? And I think I've thought about that a lot throughout, ever since I was a kid. I've been watching Friends and I've been thinking about that a lot, because when I looked closely, I realized that my need to be reliable to other people was also about feeling good, feeling worthy, feeling like I'm the person that they can come to, which indirectly means that they're choosing me. And to be honest, and if we actually look at it, it's the feeling of wanting to be needed. Like, people need me. They need to talk to me. They need to vent. And the truth is, we don't give something without wanting something back. It's just inherently in our human nature to either feel good or to want something back. It may not be money. It may not even be favors. It's just the feeling of wanting to be seen. Hey, I am holding space for you. Can you recognize that I'm holding space for you? And we want to be held. We want to be appreciated. And when that doesn't happen, the giving becomes corrosive. So we start to resent people for not doing what we never asked for. And I think that's when the identity of being the reliable person becomes a prison. It actually becomes like your own jail. We start wearing like this reliable person as a badge of honor until it starts to really weigh us down. The last couple of months, the pivot that actually wrecked me and is starting to rebuild me is that I stopped trying to prove that I was good. So ever since I was a kid, I would always be a very straightforward person. I would call it like I see it. I would never sugarcoat anything. But I think that kind of cost me a lot of relationships. So I heard people say like, you shouldn't be so straightforward. You should sugarcoat things. So I started doing that. I became the ever reliable friend. But slowly that started becoming a performance. So I stopped trying to prove that I was good. And I started asking myself what it meant to preserve who I am. And let me say it again for the people in the back. I think the real growth isn't in proving that you're kind. It's not in being helpful or supportive. It's in preserving your energy, your present sense of self, even when it disappoints people who are benefiting from the version of you that never said no. And I think it's very hard because your entire sense of identity might be wrapped on someone else relying on you. And that is a very difficult detachment to actually implement, because you can still help people. You should still be there for your friends, your family. But when you start doing things just because they feel right to you and not because they reinforce some role that you've been playing, that's where self-respect actually begins. Because that shift from, I do this because people see me a certain way, I am the ever reliable friend, so I've got to be there for people, to I do this because it's true to who I am right now. I feel like helping this person out, great. I feel like that's the most powerful kind of transformation ever. But there is a catch to this, because just because you've woken up one day and decided that you're going to change how you are with others and how you're going to kind of appear in front of others, there's this part that no one's going to warn you about. And I'm going to, because I've been experiencing this. So when you change, especially you stop being that version of you that everyone's used to, you will lose people. Because, you know, it's not going to be always messy or like a dramatic exit, but sometimes people just fade because they don't get what they wanted from you or what you've been giving them. It's not their fault. You have been showing up. So naturally, they expect that from you. But when you stop doing that for them, they're going to fade away. They either stop reaching out, or some people might guilt trip you. They just don't understand why you're no longer available the same way. And it kind of hurts because you start seeing what you've done to yourself in this process, right? It also makes sense because if you've lost a version of yourself and you're not that same person anymore, you'll naturally lose the people who only ever connected to that version of you. And it's not about emotions. It's just pure math. And I think this is a huge ego death for who we are as a person. And nobody's going to clap for this. Nobody's going to say character development unlocked. Nobody's going to talk about that because this is not a promotion. This is not about moving to another place. This is not about getting married. This is not about being pregnant. This is about just becoming someone else. And it's not very loud. It doesn't happen. The shift doesn't happen overnight, right? It's very slow. You become very protective of your energy. You become very protective of your time. You become very aware of why do I want to spend time with this person? Do I want to do this? It's not always that, there has to be give and take, but I've always heard people say this. It's not always 100%. Some days someone takes 80, someone takes 20. Some days the other person takes 50, this person takes 60. So it's always, there's this balance that has to happen. And in most case situations, when you're the ever reliable friend, imbalance obviously almost always exists. So I just wanted to share this because if you're in the middle of that pivoting situation, it is very normal for us to feel like I just want to crawl back into the old version of myself because I don't want to lose these people. Trust me, you are never going to lose them. You're always going to have to put yourself first. It's very romantic to say it. In action, when you actually have to do it, it feels worse because you feel like the villain in the story. But not everyone will celebrate this decision of you to stop overgiving. Not everyone will understand the version of you that no longer wants to prove themselves by being constantly available. And the best part about this is you don't have to care about those opinions because this pivot is for yourself to become the best version of you. So if this felt like something that resonated, let me know in the comments. Have you ever been the ever reliable friend, ever reliable romantic partner, ever reliable coworker, and had to start to set boundaries, had to kind of reinvent yourself and tell yourself I don't have time for this today. Tell me what that felt like. I would love to know, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.